Hello and welcome back for this week's episode of Flow the Grow podcast. And this week we have another very special guest, Dr. Collin DeWitt of Kinesio Care Center. I met Collin about a year ago, maybe a little bit more than a year ago. We were in a network referral group, and then we also played soccer together. So I went to a chiropractic appointment, and we got to talking. We got to talking about sports, what sports we played. I said I played soccer, and then he played soccer, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we're looking for girls for our soccer team in the summer for rec or whatever it is here in Sioux Falls." And so I played soccer last year and plan to play on his same team as well for this year. So I'm excited about that. But I never really thought I would have a chiropractor on the podcast, to be honest, just because this, I would say, before I tried chiropractic care, I just never thought I would try it. I never thought I would have someone on the podcast because, to be honest, number one, I didn't really believe in it, but I didn't really know anything about it and I had not tried it for myself. I didn't really know the purpose about it. I was all about oh, we don't need that. Chiropractors just want people to they just put a Band-Aid on things. They don't get to the root cause, blah, 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 all of that. And what I have found is that I shouldn't assume things all of the time before or without trying it or talking to a person who is in that field. But after meeting with Collin, and also he has another chiropractor that works there who is now in this same referral group, networking group. And after talking to them separately, aside from this podcast, I learned that they are all about not having clients there for the remainder of their life. I really appreciate how they don't want to have a super long-term lifetime plan with someone. They want you to be able to live life pain-free, give you things that you can do to help prevent things and to maintain, and not to have to see you all of the time. They don't just put a Band-Aid on things like I originally thought. It's more of getting to the root cause of things and doing things to help with day-to-day life and not just fixing that pain, but helping you to move better and live life more fully, I should say. They're really all about healing the body and not just treating the symptoms. So if you're curious to know more or learn more about Kinesio Care Center, how they are different from other chiropractors, and if you would like to make an appointment or just check them out, I'm going to link their website in the show notes, but you can go to kinesiocarecenter.com. So that's KINESIO carecenter.com and check them out. If this podcast has helped you in any way, whether it's inspiration, you enjoy listening, you take things that you take away from the episode, I would truly appreciate if you would leave the podcast a rating and review. It doesn't take too long. It means a lot, and I would really appreciate that. All right, with that, let's jump into the episode. Welcome to Flow the Grow podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Have you ever been on a podcast before?
No, I have not.
This is your first one?
Yeah.
Woo! So tell us more first about just who you are, what you do, and also I want to know how and why you got into doing what you do.
Okay, that's a lot of things. But my name's Collin DeWitt. I am the owner and a chiropractor, one of two chiropractors at Kinesio Care Center. I grew up in Sioux Falls. Went to Sioux Falls Christian K through 12. Met my wife here in Sioux Falls, and then we both went to the Twin Cities for college. I went to chiropractic school. She went to nursing school. And then we moved back in 2018, and in 2019, I started Kinesio Care Center. I knew I wanted to be a chiropractor in high school, which is kind of
Was
rare.
it a specific situation, or was it just I want to be a chiropractor someday?
It was more about... I took an aptitude test to begin with, and it told me PT, chiro, OT, in those kind of fields. And so I shadowed them all and thought chiropractic was the coolest, so I stuck with it.
What was cool about it to you?
It was more about the types of work that they did. So adjusting, and I shadowed a chiropractor that did a lot of exercises and manual therapies too, which is what I do here. The PT I like too. It was just, I don't know, felt a lot more clinical and a little less personal, which is fine. But at the time as a high schooler, it's like, oh yeah, you get to hang out with your buddies at the clinic, and it wasn't really buddies, but it just had more of a friendly vibe than a clinical PT.
Cool. So how did you come up with Kinesio Care, the name?
I came up with Kinesio Care because kinesiology means the study of human body movement. So kinesio, in a way, means human body movement.
Cool.
Here we're caring for how your body moves instead of just like a traditional chiropractor, more just cares about that your vertebrae is aligned.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about that.
Okay.
So that makes you different, but for like someone who's listening that doesn't know like what traditional is, explain that, and then versus like what you guys do.
Okay, so chiropractic started way back in the day with just adjusting. So chiropractors would use different techniques and methods to find out which vertebrae or other joints were out of place or misaligned, and then they would give really targeted specific adjustments to fix those misalignments and get everything statically or as you're laying on the table in the right spot. So nowadays chiropractic is kind of moving towards like a blend of chiropractic and PT, where we're not just concerned about how your body looks laying face down on a table. It's more about what kind of motions are causing you pain, what kind of activities, and then giving not only adjustments but exercises and manual therapy, or working on the muscles is what manual therapy is, to target those areas that need work, so that when you go and lift groceries out of the cart or you're mowing the lawn, that your body is responding properly and it's not causing you pain.
Yeah, that's cool, because I feel like a lot of people associate chiropractic care with the like older ways, because that's what I always thought it was. I was like, I don't want to get like, I don't want things cracking all over the place all the time, and like I was scared of it. So what's the importance in like just the average person? Why should someone care to do chiropractic stuff?
The main reason to care is to care about your body, is the easy answer. I would say there's a lot of people that find like everyday benefit from chiropractic care, and they're not necessarily the ones that are coming in for like a treatment plan to fix a certain pain. They're just coming in because it feels good. They feel like they're at 100%, not 90%, and it helps them in their day-to-day life to live to the max. For the normal person that seeks chiropractic care for the first time, it's more about, I have this pain that needs to go away. And so we never discourage somebody from not coming in when they have pain. Like if you have pain, you should see somebody. Maybe a chiropractor is the right answer, maybe it's not, but at least start somewhere.
That's true. That's a good point. At least start somewhere and just get some like feedback. So then if someone does have pain, do you like, how do you go about finding like the root cause of that? Or like, is it, you can like see on their body, they're not in alignment, or like how do you do that?
So chiropractically, that's not a word, but we can use the word. Chiropractically,
sounds like a word.
We go through a pretty thorough exam on the first visit. We'll start with a big chunk of how it got to this point, and also like what symptoms persist on a daily basis. So like if you come in and you say, I only have pain when blah, 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 then we can really narrow down, like, is there a movement in there that's causing you pain? Is it, if you're squatting, is it because you're squatting too much and you're not having proper form? Or is it only when you're shoveling? So that's the only time during the year where you're really like leaned over pushing a shovel. And then from there, once we get a good like grasp of how you feel subjectively, then we'll go through like more of an objective examination where we're doing range of motion, we're doing orthopedic tests, we're testing nerve function through MSRs, and getting to the root cause.
Okay.
And then after that, then we can go into more of like a physical exam where we're doing more like palpation. We're feeling the spine, the body, the muscles, and assessing as we treat.
Okay. So someone first comes in, you do all this like testing, kind of see, and then you kind of give your recommendation as to if someone needs like a long-term plan or they need to come in like once a month, or how do you decide that? Or like what do you see most often with that?
A big way that we formulate our treatment plans is after a follow-up.
Okay.
So a typical new patient will follow up in a week. And say they come back in a week and they've gone from 5 out of 10 pain to feeling like 50% better, and it's just kind of been an uphill progression to that point, then we'll kind of stick at a week for a little bit. If somebody comes back in a week and they say, yeah, my 5 out of 10 pain got down to a 2 after last visit, but that only lasted for like 3 days, then we'll go a couple times a week for a little bit and then taper off after that.
Okay.
But usually a treatment plan with us lasts somewhere between 6 to 12 visits.
Okay.
Like, we're not trying to have people come back every week for a whole year.
Yeah, I like that. I appreciate that, because a lot of people, or like a lot of chiropractors, like I knew a chiropractor somewhere, I don't remember the name of it, but they would have their like plans be for like a year more than, like, it was just like, you know, like they were trying to like just keep them basically. And it's like, well, what can you do to get to the root cause and like make it so that they don't have to come back, you know? So then, okay, so you said you give people different like exercises and things to do outside of this, or is that like something that you do here?
Yeah, we do that here. So we have our little therapy area behind you.
Yes.
And that's typically where we treat or where we teach exercises and stretches. Usually it's not a first visit thing. It's typically once you get to a spot where you're generally pain-free or your pain is very low, then we're adding in exercises and strengthening things to get to that next level.
Yep. Okay. Okay. So go into the types of like different, all of that you do. Cause I know there's like, I don't know, 5 different things that you do.
Adjustment wise?
Yeah. Like, cause you do like the one that hurts, whatever.
Oh, the Graston technique?
Yeah. Grasp. Just like, all the techniques, I guess, that you do here.
So we do have 3 different chiropractic techniques that we utilize here. One is manual adjustments, which is the twisting and cracking and the things that you don't like. The second one is called Thompson drop. So there's little sections of the table that pop up, and you give the adjustment and the table will fall out from under you, just like less than an inch, like a half inch. And that little bit of air gap during the adjustment helps it feel a little better, because it's kind of like you're getting adjusted in midair is like the theory. So I'm not just slamming your joint down into the table. The third one is activator, which a lot of people know as the clicker. That's a little adjustment tool, really good for babies and young children, and also people that are scared of having their joints cracked.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've seen that one before.
And then manual therapy wise, we have a lot of different techniques to work on muscles. So we do have Graston, which is muscle scraping. We have cupping. We do have a massage therapist here too. So we'll bring her into a treatment plan every once in a while. And then we have just MRT, which is muscle release technique, which is kind of like a pin and stretch. We have assisted stretching, where say your hamstrings are tight, we'll spend 2 minutes helping you stretch your hamstrings out and then show you how to stretch them at home as well. And then trigger point, which is the most basic of all like manual therapy techniques, where you're just finding knots and tight spots of the muscles. You're just applying a little pressure, and the body cues to relax to avoid that pressure, and things feel better.
Do you like decide what technique to use based on the person's like pain and stuff, or how do you go about deciding?
We decide on an individual basis. So we will have people come in here asking for Graston. Oh, okay. But we will never start somebody with Graston that's never had it. So it is like getting a tattoo.
I've never done it, but I can only imagine.
Yeah. So if you have tattoos, which I know you do, but if it felt good to get a tattoo, it's going to feel good to get Graston. Typically on a new patient visit, we'll start just with trigger point and MRT maybe. And then based on the follow-up, if they come back and they're thinking or feeling they're like 60-70%, then we might get a little more aggressive on the second visit. But we're not going to force anybody right into some torture-ish type manual therapies.
Yeah. Or it seems like it, I guess.
It can be, especially on like tight or muscles that need it.
Yeah. Ooh, do people like does it feel good after the fact? Like if you don't like it while it's doing it, but like after it feels good? Yeah.
So I'd say the area I get grasped on the most would be my low back, because I'm tall and I'm a chiropractor, so I have to lean over a chiropractic table all day.
Yeah.
Does not feel great on the low back, but after it's done and I've recovered well with water and like high protein, then it feels great.
Yeah.
And it lasts a lot longer than just like a trigger point, just because it's so aggressive.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned protein. Do you talk to people about like nutrition and stuff and the importance of that, or like outside of chiropractic stuff? How do you implement all of that or intertwine that?
If we talk with somebody about nutrition, it's because they've asked us. So we don't approach anybody in the clinic about their nutrition unless they feel like they want to talk about it.
What is like the main type of person that you guys see? Like older athletes, average person?
We mostly see somewhere between like the 35 to like 55-year-old population, and it's typically people that are more active and have hurt themselves doing something.
And do you know, like, do they also do, so they do the chiropractic stuff, but then do they also do like, I don't know, go see like, I know you have a massage therapist and you kind of do physical therapy here, so I guess that answers my own question, because you do all of it basically.
Yeah.
But I was gonna ask if they do other things too, to like, with chiropractic stuff, to like help their pain and stuff.
Yeah, we've referred not a lot of patients, because usually the patients that need x-rays and a second opinion usually go to those people first.
Yeah.
But we have had quite a few patients that we've sent out for x-rays, or we've said, hey, we need to get you more aggressive PT. Like we have, we call it active care because we're not physical therapists. So we can't call it physical therapy.
Yeah.
But I kind of describe it as like a step down from PT. Like we don't have all the equipment that a PT has, or all the training in different exercises that a PT has.
Gotcha.
So if somebody needs that extra step, we're not afraid to refer them out to a PT for sure.
Okay, that's good. If someone doesn't have a specific pain, like a specific reason to come, like, because I remember when I first did it, I was like, I didn't have a specific pain, but it was like, oh, I just kind of want to try and see like what it's all about. Does that benefit that person too? And if so, how so?
The biggest benefit to somebody like that is going from like 90 to 100%.
Oh, okay.
Feeling of 90% to feeling like 100%. So we can go through our daily lives and have tight muscles and joints out of place, and we can live life like no big deal. But typically for like athletes or people that are more active than normal, when they go and compete, or they go and want to work on the yard for a weekend, like, they might wake up sore after that competition, but that soreness doesn't equal pain like it would for somebody that isn't trained to do that activity. Same with like chiropractic. So if somebody comes in with a lot of pain, they might get significant relief. Like they might go from an 8 out of 10 to like a 2 out of 10 and be like, man, I feel like 80% better. But for like somebody that comes in with 1 out of 10 pain, it's going to be similar to them doing an exercise that they've trained for their whole lives. And versus somebody that hasn't trained for that marathon and they go run a marathon, they're going to be dying for like a month. And then somebody that trains for a marathon goes and runs a marathon and they recover in like 2 days.
Yeah.
So it's like the similar kind of feeling for somebody getting care out of like convenience instead of necessity.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So there's just something that would like add to their and just like transfer over into the day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Like you said, yard work and stuff like that. Okay, that makes sense. So being a business owner, what has been the hardest part?
Oh, about being a business owner?
Yeah.
COVID.
Oh,
COVID sucked.
I feel like that's everyone who owns a business.
It sucked, especially because it was our second year in business. It was, so we started in April, and I think COVID really became like mainstream in like March 2020. Like there's people that said, oh, COVID was here in 2019 and all this stuff, but it didn't really hit all the states and all the people until March.
Yeah.
And so going through that and navigating that as a business owner for the first time was challenging. And you could definitely see a like hesitancy in people to want to even go out of their house, which is fine. Like I get it, it's a pandemic. But it does make it hard as a business to like get those people that need care to come see you. So we took a lot of precautions. We wore masks. We always clean in between patients anyway. Oh, that was another challenge, was trying to find cleaner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that sucked. But other than that, I would say the biggest like normal challenge you face as a business owner is the realization that people probably aren't going to seek you out. So you have to not seek them out, but get in front of their face so that they find you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then show them like why they need
Yeah.
something like this.
Because every kid that dreams of owning a business is like, yeah, I'm going to start this thing and everybody's going to tell everybody and I'm going to be super famous and popular and I'm not going to have to market at all.
It takes work. You got to work for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen, so like since COVID, have you seen an increase in business like prior to COVID? So like prior COVID, and then post. Has there been more?
Yes. So pre-COVID, I started from scratch.
Yeah, so you're probably already.
So starting at zero, everything's up. But even through COVID, I would say we could have grown more, but we still grew relative to 2019 just because we started from zero.
Yeah.
Then 2021 was a little better. 2022 was really good. And that's when Dr. Aaron started. And before Dr. Aaron, I had another chiropractor working for me that moved to the Twin Cities at the end of 2021. So that was another challenge.
Yeah. Was
being here by myself for 3 or 4 months and having to see almost, I wouldn't say almost double, but a significant increase because that other chiropractor left. And then when Aaron came, he was able to kind of take a lot of stress off of me.
I bet that felt good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, since then we've kind of done more things to get more people through the doors.
Like what?
Well, our most recent thing is trying to work with athletes and teams. And so we are working with the roller dolls. And we're in talks with others, but nothing's been like set in stone yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So you just talk to the coaches and be like, hey, this is what I do. I think that your girl, they would benefit from this. Okay.
Yeah. So we kind of have like a little give and take where we're like the team sponsor of, or the chiropractic team sponsor. And to get that title, we show up to like, I think they're called bouts for roller derby. And we'll show up there, we'll do a little like stretching for the athletes or work on them with the hypervolt before a match. And
how long have you been doing that with them?
That just started like a month ago.
Oh, okay. So I was gonna ask if there's been like a difference or if people they've like said anything.
Well, we were going to do it in 2020. So we had it all set up to go and work with the roller dolls, and then they had to stop because of COVID. So I think this is their second season back because I don't think they did in 2021 either.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What are some misconceptions? I'm like, my questions are all over the place, but what are some misconceptions about chiropractic care?
The biggest misconception that I want to be an answer to is that you need chiropractic care like the rest of your life for it to work. Because you do see chiropractors pushing more of like maintenance plans, and from the research that I've read, there might be new research out this year, I don't know, but from the research that I've read shows there's no like significant benefit to, if you feel 100% and you go to a chiropractor, that you're less likely to hurt yourself. And I think a lot of chiropractors push that. So
Yeah.
our biggest push is to say we want to get you to a point where you don't need us.
Yeah.
And we have done that with quite a few patients.
Nice. That's
which is
good.
Yeah.
I love that. Love that.
I'd say another misconception is something about adjusting, where there's a lot of people that are nervous to get adjusted.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's more, maybe you can answer this better. I don't know if it's more about they only think chiropractors adjust one way. And so they go to a chiropractor and they're going to get a treatment like they see on YouTube, where the microphone is on their back and it's capturing every little pop and crack. We don't have to do that. That's more of like a physics phenomenon anyway. And adjusting is more about improving the range of motion of a joint. So we don't have to do that with a pop. We can do that with an activator. We can do that with just like manual mobilization. So a good example is like the ankle. If somebody has limited ankle mobility, we don't have to just like pull and wrench on the ankle to get it to pop. We can do muscle work and stretches and different like pressure points on the joint to help kind of guide it into place.
Okay, yeah. I know that when I first went to a chiropractor in Brookings, I totally thought that there was one way to do it, and it was just, I've seen videos where it's just like pulling, like cracking the head, and then like hearing like the horror stories about it. But I didn't realize that there's different like techniques to it, and that the purpose is like for range of motion and like things like that. So when I went, it was just to like try it out, whatever. And I was surprised by it, and it wasn't at all what I thought it was. And then when I came here, I liked that you guys took the time. It was like an hour, 45 minutes or an hour, where you did like the exercises, the testings, like things like that. Yeah. And then it was, totally different than what I had thought.
Okay.
It was just a lot of fear because of not knowing and not asking a professional, and just having like different, like I had my own ideas of what it was.
Yeah.
So.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information out there about chiropractic.
And I think not a lot of good information.
Yeah. I think a lot of like social media information on chiropractic right now is very gimmicky. Like you have the people that probably are going to those clinics feeling like 95, 100%. And they're just going because they like to get cracked. I don't really follow a lot of chiropractic social media because of it. But I'm sure there are really good ones out there. And it's just nothing that I've tried to find.
Yeah.
So usually the patient that comes in and says, I saw this on YouTube, I want to do this, is more of the person that just like wants to feel like their body is a glow stick, and I'm just there to pop it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then do you do it, or do you like educate them more on
I'll do it. Yeah.
I can't believe people just like want to do that.
It feels good. But yeah, it's also about educating that kind of person too, to say, if this is something you truly just want to spend your money on every month, we'll do it.
Yeah.
If there's something more that you're trying to progress towards, let us know. Like if you feel 95, 100% on a monthly basis and you want us to show you an exercise to help strengthen your quads or relieve the tension in your upper back because you sit at a desk all day, like we can do that.
Yeah. Okay. Do you find that you have most people come in for like low back stuff, knee stuff? Like what's like the most common?
Most common, I would say, would be low back. There's just a lot of like weight transfer that happens in that area from the low back to the hips, and very easy in our society for like the glutes to be weak, the core to be weak. Those two weaknesses, along with like low back hypertonicity or like really tight muscles in the low back, very easy to like throw your back out.
Yeah.
Or like have a joint go out of place in a way that is like causing significant pain.
Yeah, especially if you're not an active person, don't really exercise. That's like super common. Yeah. What is your goal for Kinesio Care Center? Like, I mean, you're gonna be here for what, life probably, you think? Or like you're gonna try and
I'd like
like
to retire someday.
Yeah.
But
Like, do you want to open another location?
I would say before another location, I would want a bigger location.
Mm-hmm.
So Dr. Aaron and I have talked about it where down the road, I would like to add maybe another chiropractor, a couple more massage therapists, and potentially like a physical therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And make, I don't know if I would say double the size, but probably pretty close to this clinic, where we have not just like mini PT or active care, but we have a real place or a significantly bigger place to like teach people exercises and a PT that could provide that service. And then another chiropractor on staff, mostly in my mind for like women and children, because Dr. Aaron and I are men, and I feel like women, especially like pregnant women with kids, are more comfortable going to see like a female chiropractor, which is totally understandable.
Yeah. Do you have more guys, like more men that come in, or is it pretty even?
I would say it's pretty even, which is also kind of not the norm for a chiropractor.
Like normal to women, or
yeah,
okay,
yeah, just because women take care of themselves better than men.
Yep. And you think it's probably because there's only 2 guys here that
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to know for sure unless we would ask everybody, but
yeah. Yep, that makes sense. What do you love most about what you do?
I love patient care the most. So I love not only helping somebody feel better and getting them to 100% when they're in pain, but also it's a little bit of a challenge. So there are the typical, like, oh, you have low back pain. These are the like common 4 things with low back pain that we treat, and then you'll feel better. There's some people where their low back pain or their hip pain might be caused by a lack of range of motion in their ankle. So every time they take the step, they're compensating through their knee and through their hip. And in some of those cases, like if somebody's born with a club foot, like they're always going to have a limited range of motion. So in some people like that, it's more about the education piece. Like, this is why you're having pain. Is there something we can add to your shoe? Or can you just walk a little bit different so that you're not trying to fully stride out on that foot? Because every time you stride out, it's causing a little more pain in your hips and knees and low back.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people don't know that it could stem from ankles.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people don't know that.
And the crazy part too is like when you're a baby, like we have a 1-year-old, and you can take a baby's ankle and like the motion in that thing is incredible.
Yeah.
And then you get to somebody like our age, like in their 30s, like we're not old, but it's significantly less. And we do significantly more than a baby does. So yeah, ankles are super important.
Yeah. And I like watching babies, like when they go pick stuff up, literally just squat down.
Yeah.
The most perfect squat.
Yeah. And it's
then
natural.
Yeah. That's how it should be, and we just lose that over time.
That's how it should be, yes.
What are things that they can, like if someone's listening and they have low back pain, they want to improve their ankle mobility, like what are some things, can you describe something that they could do?
The easiest thing to do for ankle mobility is to move your ankles and kind of stress it with a stretch. So a lot of our daily life, our ankles are just like in neutral, like 90 degrees from our shins. Very rarely do people like sit in their chair and like lean their foot back and try and like have a calf stretch all day long. So that's a really easy thing to add into your daily life is like if you're sitting in a chair, try to like slide your heels under the chair a little bit and create that stretch through your ankle.
Okay.
Another big thing would be tibialis anterior strengthening. Like our calves can get like really strong from walking, but the front side, the typical place where people get shin splints, can be very weak. So I actually bought, let me show you.
Okay.
Called Monkey Feet. So it's like $10 on Amazon for like 2 of these.
Oh, wow.
And it like straps around the dumbbell, and then you can put your foot in here closer to the toes if you want to do tib anterior. And then you just like strap it around your foot, and then you can use it as like resistance. So I use it mostly for tib anterior, where you put it on your toes and you just like raise your foot up.
Oh, yeah.
Or hip flexors. So you put it more midfoot and you're just doing like a march.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And
interesting.
Those 2 muscle groups can be very beneficial to low back pain.
Okay.
And ankle mobility for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've done where like I'm just like leaning up against a wall and I like lift my toes.
Yeah.
And I just do that. And then is there anything else that like you feel like people should know about, either like you guys specifically or chiropractic care in general, that we didn't already talk about?
I would say the first thing that comes to my mind would to not be scared.
And just try it out.
Yeah. Like, you don't have to try it if you're feeling great. But if you go and play soccer like we're going to do this summer,
mm-hmm.
and your knee hurts after the first game because you haven't run for the whole winter like I have, don't be afraid to go seek help about it.
Mm-hmm.
And a chiropractor can do a lot more than just like neck and low back. Like, I've seen many people with hip pain, like true hip pain, not just like, oh, my hip, and then they like hold their low back, like actual hip pain.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people with knee pain, ankle pain. Wrists are very common, especially with computer work.
Mm-hmm.
Shoulders for sure, like the rotator cuff. People never get their rotator cuff work done.
Oh.
So if you have shoulder pain after playing softball for the first time, and it happens every year, and then after a couple of games it'll go away, like, don't be afraid to go have it checked out before something like tears.
Mm-hmm.
Which it might not tear, but
you never know.
You want everything to be prepped and ready to like do something that you don't normally do.
If someone like also has just, they know that they don't have as good like range of motion in like their shoulders or their like neck or whatever, that would be a good time to try it out too.
Yeah. Range of motion limitations are a great indicator that you need some work.
Yeah, and I've seen it like when there's people like at the gym I work at, or even just like training one-on-one, like people, like I can do things with them too, but I'm always like referring to like chiropractors to like do it more, because if you don't have good range of motion, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Working on, like if you're like trying to lift weights and do stuff like that, like it's totally going to injury maybe, but also like you're not making as much, but it's not as beneficial if you don't have that range of motion. So. And
you're not going to strengthen that muscle through its full range of motion if you don't have the range of motion.
Mm-hmm.
So you go and do a squat and you can only go down 50%.
Mm-hmm.
What happens that one time that, I don't know, you go to jump and dunk a basketball? I can't dunk either, but you go and do something that causes you to go beyond that range of motion, then you have a much higher chance of injury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Versus if you have the range of motion when you start and you exercise through that full range of motion, you'll be prepared for anything.
Right. Yeah. Yep, for sure. I do have one last question. I didn't prepare you for this one, but so podcast is called Flow with the Grow. So for you, when you hear that, what comes to mind? What does that mean for you? When
you flow with the grow? I don't know. It kind of resonates with me as like a introvert. I'm a very go with the flow person.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it gives notes. We'll do like a little wine tasting here. Gives notes of like improvement, like you're growing and things are flourishing. But also like calmness through that growth. Like you're not trying to get somebody from a couch potato to an Ironman.
Mm-hmm.
We're just like on the journey down the lazy river of personal growth.
I love that. Holy shit.
Yeah. Gave you a social media soundbite right there.
Yeah, I like the calmness part that you put in. Nice. All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This was fun. Heck yeah. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Flow with the Grow. I'll see you next week for your daily dose of positivity and growth.